Hi, my name's Claire Heywood. I went to the Westwood School between 2004 and 2011, and I am now an author. So just a little bit of the story of how I went from school to where I am now. When I was at school, my favourite subject was English, um, perhaps unsurprisingly. I loved creative writing especially. I loved making up stories and poems and plays. Um, but I quite enjoyed a lot of subjects, to be honest. I got quite into French. I decided that languages were really interesting to me. I liked how languages interacted, how we have links between English and French, for example. That was quite interesting, and learning that new skill, I found that valuable. So when it came to A levels, I decided to carry on doing English. I did English literature. I also continued French A level, and for something new, I decided to do what was called philosophy and ethics, but was also called religious studies, because I thought that would be an interesting new challenge, and I learned all sorts of new things about philosophy and the history of how people have tried to work out the world, really. So those are my three subjects: English, French, and religious studies. I really enjoyed all of them. I found them all really valuable, and they each taught me different skills. But then when it came to choosing a university course, I sort of wanted to try a new challenge. I'd thought about studying English, and I always thought that I would study English. But as I was choosing courses, I started looking up ancient history courses because I'd always been really interested in ancient Egypt and Greek myths. And as I was looking at ancient history, I discovered a subject called classics, which is specifically studying the cultures of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And I thought that sounded like something really interesting that I wanted to pursue. So that's what I did. I went to the University of Warwick and I did a degree in classical civilization, learning all about ancient Greece and Rome. And I absolutely loved it as soon as I started the course. It was really interesting and really varied. I got to do literature, as I'd already enjoyed doing, but I also got to do art and archaeology. I got to carry on doing some philosophy, and also languages. I learnt Latin and ancient Greek as part of my degree. So it was a really good choice for me personally. I really enjoyed it. And then at the end of my degree, after 3 years, I decided that I still wasn't finished with learning about the ancient world, so I did a master's as well. I did an MA in ancient visual and material culture, which is basically ancient art and archaeology. And again, I really enjoyed that. It was very challenging. It really pushed me academically and personally, and developed my skills and my confidence. So it was a good thing to do. But then I decided that I'd had enough of studying formally. I didn't want to do a PhD, and kind of go down the route of academia and become a lecturer. I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had to come up with a plan. But in the back of my head, there was this thought that I'd always wanted to write a book. That's what I really wanted to do. So before I went onto a grad scheme or got some sort of professional job, I decided I would try and write my first book. And that's what I did. I had a part-time job as well. I was working in an art gallery, which was a job I'd had while I was a student. So I carried on doing that and I wrote the rest of the time. And then I moved to Bristol, and got some other jobs while I was still writing. I was a private tutor for a while, and then I was a tour guide at the Roman Baths Museum in Bath. Eventually finished my book, but still had to get it published. So while I was working, I was trying to find agents, which is quite difficult. There's a lot of people trying to get their books published, and you need an agent to be able to approach publishers. So that took a couple of years, really. And then at the beginning of this year, 2020, I actually had a confirmed publishing deal for my first novel and for a subsequent novel, which I hadn't written yet. So that is when things really kicked off. And just last month, I quit my day job where I was working for a charity, and I decided that I was going to pursue writing for full time, So I'm now self-employed as an author. My first book comes out next year in July. And in terms of the skills that it takes to be an author, it might seem like an unorthodox career, but really a lot of the skills are skills that I gained at university and at school and from jobs that I've had. Things like project management, because it's such a huge project, writing a book. You really need to be organised and plan what you're doing. You need a lot of perseverance and resilience, because it takes a lot of effort, but then also once you've written the book, you can face quite a lot of rejection when you're trying to get it published. So you need to be resilient and pick yourself up again and carry on pursuing it if that's what you really want to do. It obviously takes creativity, but really that's quite a small part of what you're doing. There's an awful lot of organisation, self-motivation that is equally as important as creativity. In terms of my advice to people still at school and wondering what direction they might take in the future, the way that I've always seen it is to pursue what interests you, to pursue what you enjoy, because then at the very least you'll be having fun, you'll find it interesting, you'll be gaining something from it in that way. It can be very overwhelming when you're faced with so many choices to know what to do, and I've always just taken each step as it comes. I didn't have a big long-term plan, but at each step along the path I thought, this is probably what will make me happiest, this is what I will find most interesting, and that's what I decided to do, and luckily it has paid off, and I'm now doing a job which is my dream job, and I get to write books all day. So best of luck to all of you, and I hope that you're able to carve your own path and find your passion and pursue it.